The ghost has appeared, but Hamlet has not yet seen it. Instead, we meet him in the royal court, surrounded by celebrations, speeches, and forced cheer. Beneath the public show of harmony lies anger, grief, and moral unease. This is where we not just see Hamlet for the first time, but we hear him speak to others, speak to himself, speak to us. This is Monami Mukherjee, and this video is going to be a line-by-line reading of William Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 2. William Shakespeare never gave much importance to the concept of the unity of space, time, or even to some extent action. So while we were with the night guards in the first scene, we are quickly taken to the courtroom in the second. Yes, the place is still Denmark, but the stage setup is entirely different from the one we have seen in the previous scene. This is a room of state in the castle, and it looks quite crowded because the characters here are King Claudius, who enters along with Queen Gertrude, Hamlet, Polonius, Laertes, Voltimand, Cornelius, lords and attendants. King Claudius enters and begins to speak. Though yet of Hamlet, our dear brother's death, the memory be green, which means the event was only in the recent past, so the memory is still raw and green, and that it us befitted to bear our hearts in grief. So it was appropriate for us to be in grief because we have just lost our brother, and our whole kingdom to be contracted in one brow of woe. So it's like the whole kingdom has a face, and that face is frowning at the moment with sadness, with grief, because the king is dead. The late king is dead. Yet. Now this yet is a very important word here. This means that he gives recognition to the fact that it is okay to feel sorry for the dead king. But there are other things to consider as well. What are those things? Yet, so far hath discretion fought with nature, that we with wisest sorrow think on him. So it is all right for us to think about our dear brother because that is what is expected of us. And then he goes on giving us information. So these speeches are important not just to reveal to us the state of mind of the speaker or their apparent intentions, but also provide information to us regarding who is who and how is somebody related to somebody else. So he says, together with remembrance of ourselves. So we think on him along with thoughts about ourselves. In short, life must go on. We can't brood only on the ones we have lost. We have to think about the ones who are left living. Nice philosophy there, but let's see. Therefore, our sometime sister, now our queen, now it might sound scandalous, but in this case, sister in the sense sister-in-law, that is wife of his dead brother, and it's not all that unnatural. These kinds of weddings, at least in the past, in royal families, were not unheard of because of property issues, because of legacy, who will be the heir. All these questions are usually there when a king is dead. So sometimes it happened that somebody close to him, Ketorkin, got married to the dead king's wife, and the bloodline is maintained in the family. Okay, so that was a thing not unheard of. So sometimes sister, now our queen, the imperial jointress to this warlike state. State is this nation, that is Denmark, and Denmark was like a warlike nation, and she is a jointress. So it's like she has equal rights over Denmark as the king has. So yes, it's like she is the legal heir, the queen, and then Claudius gives us a series of paradoxical statements or even antithetical statements where he puts opposite things together in one phrase, one sentence. He says, "Have we as it were a defeated joy?" Now, defeated joy is almost like an oxymoron. How can you be joyful if you are defeated? But he is explaining it, why he thinks his joy is defeated. He is joyful because he is married to somebody, but he cannot have complete happiness because there is something sorrowful that comes along with it. And he says, with an auspicious and a dropping eye. Dropping eye means sorrowful, sad expression. So on one hand, he is feeling auspicious. Something nice has happened. On the other hand, he is feeling sorrow. What nice thing has happened? He has got married. Why is it sorrowful? Because it is after the death of his brother. With mirth in funeral and with dirge in marriage. Dirge is funeral song. So contradictions are there. The happiness is somehow not absolute. It is diluted with sorrow, diluted with grief. In equal scale weighing delight and dole. Dole is sadness. Taken to wife. So this is how I have got married. Nor have we herein barred your better wisdoms. So King Claudius is actually addressing everybody, and it's a common thing for kings to address his lords whenever any drastic decision has been made, right? And he says, nor have we herein barred your better wisdoms, which have freely gone with this affair along. So this shows that the people of Denmark, the lords of Denmark, they have also given their approval to this marriage. For all our thanks. Now follows that young Fortinbras, now he quickly shifts the speech to a political direction and he begins to talk about the situation with Norway. Young Fortinbras, that is the son of the dead king of Norway, whom King Hamlet had defeated. And this information we have got from the previous scene. Young Fortinbras holding a weak supposal of our worth. So Fortinbras thinks that Claudius is not a worthy king, or thinking by our late dear brother's death, our state to be disjoined and out of frame, colleagued with the dream of his advantage. So Fortinbras has braced himself up with this ambition. He hath not failed to pester us with message. So Claudius is frankly very, very irritated, pestered by the message he is receiving from Fortinbras, importing the surrender of those lands lost by his father with all bonds of law to our most valiant brother. This incident we already know about from the previous scene. Now Fortinbras wants those lands back and Claudius is not at all ready to give them up. So much for him. Now for ourselves and for this time of meeting, thus much the business is. So now he's giving instructions. Okay. We have here writ to Norway, uncle of young Fortinbras, who impotent and bedridden. So young Fortinbras's uncle is bedridden. Scarcely hears of this his nephew's purpose to suppress his further gait herein. So he is writing a letter to Fortinbras's uncle so that Fortinbras's uncle stops Fortinbras from approaching or disturbing Denmark any further. In that, the levies, the lists and full proportions are all made out of his subject. Why has Claudius written to Fortinbras's uncle? Because Fortinbras is collecting men from amongst the subjects of his uncle. So Claudius wants to inform his uncle that, see, your nephew is collecting your men, gathering your men and raising an army, stop him. And we here dispatch you, good Cornelius. Now he is giving a specific order to a specific person who is Cornelius. And you, Voltimand. So these two people are given this responsibility to carry this message to Fortinbras's uncle. For bearers of this greeting to old Norway. Norway here means 14 plus is uncle, who is at present the ruler of Norway. Giving to you no further personal power to business with the king. Now, this is very important. Claudius is always very specific about the duties he is delegating, and he does not want anybody to go beyond that line that he draws. And he says that you take the message, but don't get into any kind of negotiation, any kind of conversation where you are out of line. So he wants his men to stick to his orders. And this is where we see him to be a very authoritative person. Giving to you no further personal power to business with the king, more than the scope of these dilated articles allow. Farewell, and let your haste commend your duty. So he asks them to leave. Cornelius and Voltimand say, all right, fine. In that and all things will we show our duty. And they kind of leave. Now, after Voltimand and Cornelius leave, Claudius turns to Laertes. So he is very particular about whom he is addressing, maintains a kind of decorum, handles one thing at a time. So apparently he looks like a very sorted king, at least a sorted person who knows what he is doing. And now, Laertes, what's the news with you? Who is Laertes? Laertes is the son of Polonius, who is like an advisor to the king. And Laertes' sister, remember the story, happens to be in love with Hamlet. We'll come to that later. The king is speaking to Laertes. You told us of some suit. What is it, Laertes? Suit means application. You want to take permission for something. What is it? You cannot speak of reason to the Dane and lose your voice. So he says that, see, I'm a Danish person and I'm a reasonable person. So you speak to me with logic and reason and I will understand. What wouldst thou beg, Laertes? That shall not be my offer, not thy asking. So I think I would be willing to give you anything, even without your asking. The head is not more native to the heart, the hand more instrumental to the mouth, than is the throne of Denmark to thy father. This means that just as the head belongs naturally to the heart, they are connected, and the hand serves the mouth, in the same way, the throne of Denmark is closely tied to his father. What wouldst thou have, Laertes? So Laertes wants to take permission to leave Denmark. My dear lord, your leave and favor to return to France. So Laertes was in France. He had come back to Denmark and he wants to go back. From whence, though willingly, I came to Denmark to show my duty in your coronation. Yet now I must confess that duty done, so I had come to see you become the king, and now that you are the king, I have no other work to do, I'm going back. My thoughts and wishes bend again toward France and bow them to your gracious leave and pardon. Have you your father's leave? What says Polonius? So now Claudius asks if he has taken his father's permission or not, and Polonius directly replies, he hath, my lord, wrung from me my slow leave. That means he was not very eager to let his son go back again, and he was reluctant. So it's like he wrung out from him permission. By laborsome petition, and at last upon his will, I sealed my hard consent. I gave my consent that all right, fine. Go, live your life, that kind of a thing. I do beseech you, give him leave to go. So you see, you can realize by now that when you are close to the royal family or you belong to the royal family, your decisions, even your personal decisions, depend a lot on the consent of the king as well, not just your guardian or your own volition. So Laertes has to depend on not just Polonius's permission but also King Claudius's. Take thy fair hour, Laertes, time be thine, and thy best graces spend it at thy will. And then agent number 3 for Claudius, his stepson. But now, my cousin Hamlet and my son. And Hamlet responds. But this response is not open. He speaks in an aside. What is an aside? Aside is a very short statement that a character makes on stage when other characters are present, but they cannot hear what he is saying, only the audience can hear. So it's like he's speaking to himself, a little more than king and less than kind. Now he's playing with these words, kin and kind. Kin is like a relative, okay? Since Claudius has married his mother, he is technically his father. So he is more than just a relative, but less than kind. Usually kind also means of your own family or naturally connected to you. But Hamlet does not feel any natural affection for Claudius or from Claudius. So he says he's less than kind. Claudius doesn't hear that. He goes on talking. How is it that the clouds still hang on you? Clouds, metaphorically, sorrow. Not so, my lord. I'm too much in the sun. The kings are often compared to sun. And here Hamlet says that your presence is so overpowering that I feel that I'm too much in the sun. So Hamlet's words from the very beginning are neither enthusiastic towards Claudius nor affectionate. He is not showing any kind of affinity towards Claudius. The queen intervenes. It's like she is feeling responsible that there should be some distance between her son and her husband. She wants them to gel together to make things rosy again, comfortable for all. And she says, good Hamlet, cast thy nighted color off. You're like wearing this dark color. Usually people wear dark color, black, at a funeral when somebody close to them die. So Hamlet is still continuing to wear that. And Gertrude says that you should get rid of this black color and let thine eye look like a friend on Denmark. Now, since Hamlet is not showing any affinity towards Claudius, any friendliness towards Claudius, and Claudius is the king of Denmark, it's as if Hamlet is being anti-Denmark. All right? Do not forever with thy veiled lids seek for thy noble father in the dust. Why are you always looking for your dead father is gone? Thou knowest it's common. All that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity. She wants to give him some words of wisdom, general philosophical words like no man at all can be living forever, that kind of philosophy. And Hamlet says, "Aye, madam, it is common." Now, the thing is that Hamlet is not bothered about his father's death. Yes, he's sorrowful, but he's not seeing it as uncommon. He knows it is common that people die. Then there must be something which is uncommon, which Gertrude has not yet mentioned. If it be, why seems it so particular with thee? So if death is something natural and it's part of life, why are you taking so much additional sorrow for it? Now Hamlet, who is a very sensitive person, he catches the word seems and says, "Seems, madam?" Note the word madam. Why is he addressing his own mother as madam? Constantly has done that before. First of all, it's a courtly setup. He is in the king's presence. Here, Gertrude is the queen. And second is somehow he feels distant from his mother. He sees her not as his mother so much as he is seeing her as the wife of King Claudius. And then he uses the word mother. I know not seems. It is not alone my inky cloak, good mother. You are seeing my cloak, my coat, which is black. But it's not just my coat which is black. Had it been so, I would have thrown it out. It would have been my appearance. but it is not my appearance only. It is not just what seems. Nor customary suits of solemn black, nor windy suspiration of forced breath, no, nor the fruitful river in the eye, nor the dejected behavior of the visage. Behavior is behavior of the face. My grief is not in my clothes, it is not in my tears, it is not on my facial expression. Together with all forms, moods, shapes of grief that can denote me truly. These indeed seem, for they are actions that a man might play. I can wear a dress, I can give an expression, I can weep and cry. So these are the things I can do, actions. But I have that within which passeth show. Beyond action, there is something else. So from the beginning, Hamlet has the wisdom and the awareness that your existence is not just what you do. And this is going to be a vital thing when it comes to the question of why he acts or does not act throughout the play. So he says, I have that within which passeth show, which is beyond show off. These but the trappings and the suits of woe. Beyond these dresses and stuff that represent grief, there is something else, which is also filled with sorrow. So it is not just what I show through my action, but what I feel inside. Claudius wants to dilute the intensity which he can sense in Hamlet, because intensity is something that can actually threaten powerful people even. So he says, "'Tis sweet and commendable in your nature, Hamlet, to give these mourning's duties to your father, that you're so sincere. It's a good thing that you're so sincere about your sorrow for your father. But you must know your father lost a father, that father lost his, and the survivor bound in filial obligation for some term to do obsequious sorrow." Now, these are tough words, so let me just break them down for you. He says that your father lost his father, who also lost his father, and the survivor bound in filial obligation. Whoever loses a father, he is still surviving, okay, the son, he has a filial obligation. Filial obligation as in duty of a son. What obligation? That I will be observing sorrow, like the ritual of funeral that we know. All the cultures have it. The word obsequious means following something in a very servile, very obedient manner, excessive manner. So it's very natural. There are rituals, especially for sons after their father's death, that they follow a term of extreme grief when they do certain things to represent that grief, which is okay. But, again that but to persevere in obstinate condolement, what you're doing is obstinacy. What you're doing is refusing to follow the rule of life, is a course of impious stubbornness. So first of all, he calls him obstinate and then stubborn. It is unmanly grief. Manliness is often equated with action. And this theme is central to Hamlet. Be a man, act. And whenever somebody is unable to act, is somebody thinking, is branded as unmanly. And it's not just Hamlet. It was the concept that ran, at least during the Renaissance. We have seen in Macbeth, when Lady Macbeth is bringing up some brilliant plan of action, the husband is saying, bring forth men children only. And in order to make her feel powerful, she herself is asking the powers to unsex her, to take away from her her femininity. And when she is in doubt about Macbeth, she is saying, are you a man? So these things were common, Grief is unmanly if it is stopping somebody from acting in a positive way, in a brave way, in accepting life. It shows a will most incorrect to heaven. So unmanly is incorrect to heaven. A heart unfortified. You don't have a strong heart. Your heart is not fortified. You have no defense against sorrow. A mind impatient, an understanding simple and unschooled. So he's trying to brand Hamlet as a weak person because he can't handle his father's death. For what we know must be and is as common as any, the most vulgar things to sense, why should we, in our peevish opposition, take it to heart? Death is a common thing. Why are you opposing this? Why aren't you accepting it? That means you are not being manly. Fie! It's a fault to heaven, a fault against the dead, a fault to nature, to reason most absurd, whose common theme is death of fathers, and who still hath cried from the first course till he that died today. This must be so. Father's death is so common. From the beginning of time, fathers have died. Up to now, your father's death, it's not unnatural. It's not like the first time somebody's father is dying. We pray you, throw to earth this unprevailing woe. So we have all come out of that grief session. You also throw that out. Throw away that grief. Wear something nice. Enjoy the party. It's my wedding that you should celebrate. So this is what he's trying to do. He's trying to make everybody participate in his life and think of us as of a father. I'm like a father to you. For let the world take note, you are the most immediate to our throne, and with no less nobility of love than that which dearest father bears his son, do I impart toward you. Now Claudius doesn't have a child, not yet at least, and presumably with his age, a possibility of a future heir is not in his immediate hope. So he's saying that you are next in line. So he has a plan for Hamlet. And what is that plan? That with no less nobility of love than that which dearest father bears his son. So I am asking you something as if I am your father. For your intent in going back to school in Wittenberg. It is most retrograde to our desire. Claudius does not want Hamlet to leave Denmark. He knows that Hamlet wants to go back to Wittenberg, to the university where he was studying. So these are the things that we get to know about Hamlet, that he is a student and he wants to go back to his studies. Claudius doesn't want him to go back. And we beseech you, bend you to remain here in the cheer and comfort of our eye, so that he can keep a watch on him. Our chiefest courtier, cousin, and our son. And Gertrude also adds to this. Let not thy mother lose her prayers, Hamlet. I pray thee, stay with us. Go not to Wittenberg. I shall in all my best obey you, madam. So Hamlet is not speaking much. Why? 'Tis a loving and a fair reply. So Claudius is happy that Hamlet is not going away. People might think that why is he so interested in Hamlet, whether he goes to Wittenberg or not. There could be two answers to it. First is maybe Claudius really wants to warm up to Hamlet. He thinks that if Hamlet is close, then they can begin to have a bond. Who knows? We don't know yet, right? Second is, he wants to keep a watch on Hamlet so that Hamlet doesn't go against him, maybe join hands with Fortinbras. Okay, so these could be his ideas. So we don't know what's happening inside the mind of Claudius. Be as ourself in Denmark. Madam, come. This gentle and unforced accord. Hamlet agreed without any further ado. So he is happy about it, that we didn't have to force him or anything. Sit smiling to my heart, in grace whereof no jocund health that Denmark drinks today, but the great cannon to the clouds shall tell, And the kings rouse the heavens all brute again. So the king's drinking celebration, it will be announced very loudly. Everybody can hear it, and the heavens will echo like thunder. Re-speaking earthly thunder. Come away. He's very happy about everything. Everybody leaves. Hamlet is all by himself. And then he begins to speak. How is it different from an aside? During an aside, we saw that other characters were present on stage. But here, when Hamlet is speaking, no one else is present on stage. So he is truly speaking his mind. This is called a soliloquy. Solo means one, single, and loquy is speaking. So he is speaking to himself. And this is where we get to look into what's going on in his mind. This first soliloquy of Hamlet. Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. He wants his body to dissolve into a dewdrop. Now, notice that he wants to disappear, but not die violently. He does not imagine blood or action. He wishes his body would melt, thaw, turn to dew. It's like kind of a inward kind of despair. And then he says, or that the everlasting had not fixed his canon against self-slaughter. We all know that in Christianity and in most religions and even the book of law, self-slaughter, killing oneself, is considered to be a sin. So he says that it's like the everlasting God. He has decreed that it's sin to kill yourself. So I can't kill myself. Oh God, how weary, stale, flat and unprofitable seem to me all the uses of this world. He thinks that this whole world has lost its meaning. Now, that is a stretch really. People do lose their fathers, but why is he so much bothered? Why does he think that everything has lost meaning? Fie on it. Fie. It's an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely. Everything is stinking all around him. It's like a garden where only weeds are growing, and the word garden immediately brings to our mind the word Eden. So what could have been Eden has now turned into a nightmare for him. Oh, that it should come to this. But 2 months dead. So he's not so bothered by the death of his father as he is by what has happened within 2 months of his father's death. And what has happened? Nay, not so much, not two. So excellent a king that was. To this, he's not mentioning the name of Claudius, notice. He will not, in this whole speech, even for once, mention the word Claudius. It's as if he's disgusted to that extent that he doesn't want to even mention the name. He's saying that so excellent a king, he was like Hyperion. Who was Hyperion? Hyperion was the Titan god of heavenly light in Greek mythology, and he is one of the sons of Uranus, the sky and the earth. And it's said that Hyperion is often associated with light, wisdom, watchfulness, and father of sun, moon, dawn. So very, very significant, bright character in Greek mythology. And who was Satyr? Satyr was one of a class of lustful, drunken woodland gods, a man with horses, ears and tail. Sometimes in Roman representation, we also have goat's ear, tail, leg, and horns. So Claudius is compared to a satyr, and his father is compared to Hyperion. So he's saying that my father was so great and this is so horrible. So loving to my mother that he might not beteem the winds of heaven visit her face too roughly. My father loved my mother so much that he didn't even allow the wind to blow fiercely on her face. Protected her. Heaven and earth, must I remember? Why, she would hang on him as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on. So my mother always moved around with my father. Like it was as if she was feeding on him and she was getting hungrier for love. They were always together. She was so attached. And yet within a month, let me not think on it. Frailty, thy name is woman. It sounds horrible, right? But we have to understand that it is a very emotional statement coming from a person who is at this moment in a very vulnerable situation. So it's not like he's making any philosophical judgment on women in general, but he is not very happy with the way his mother has behaved. And often, at least when somebody is emotionally down, they have this tendency to associate their mothers with all women in general. I mean, your mother is like a representative of the world to you, right? And for him, she has not been a perfect woman at all. And he thinks that frailty is the other name of women. Frailty means inconsistency, dishonesty, faithlessness. A little month. Or are those shoes were old with which she followed my poor father's body like Niobe, all tears? Now, Niobe is another allusion. She was a queen who had many children and she was very proud and thought that she was superior to the goddess Leto because Leto had only 2 children. One is Apollo and the other one is Artemis. As a punishment of her pride, Apollo and Artemis killed all of her children. And she was filled with sorrow and she wept so much that she turned into stone. And even then, tears flowed down from her, like rivers flow down mountains. Hamlet is saying that Gertrude had wept like Niobe when she saw that her husband was dead. And she was wearing the same shoes which she's wearing now. So those shoes which she wore in the funeral, they're not even old now. So that is his problem. He's sorry, he's sad that his father is dead. But his deep crisis is because of the haste with which he saw his mother get married to a man immediately after her husband died. Why she, even she, oh God, a beast that one's discourse of reason would have mourned longer. So even a beast who wants means who does not have, who lacks reason and intellect of humans, even a beast would have mourned for its partner a bit longer. But what has my mother done? Married with my uncle, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules. So he's making another comparison here. That Claudius is far inferior to late King Hamlet. So we can't understand how can his mother stoop so low? How can her taste deteriorate so much? Within a month. Or yet the salt of most unrighteous tears had left the flushing in her galled eyes. She married. So her tears are unrighteous. It was fake. O most wicked speed to post with such dexterity to incestuous sheets. Incest. I told you in the very beginning that technically it is not an incest where a person marries the widow of his brother. It's not incest, okay? But for Hamlet, it is unforgivable as incest. Incest is where people engage in sexual relationships with their siblings or people connected to them through blood. This is not incest, but he's calling it incestuous. So Gertrude has moved in with great speed to have this incestuous relationship. It is not, nor it cannot come to good, but break my heart, for I must hold my tongue. Thing is that we notice a few things here. First, he keeps interrupting himself. I must hold my tongue. Must I remember? So it's like he is actually thinking aloud. It's not a polished, refined speech, but like a spontaneous thought coming out. The final line, I must hold my tongue, it shows that his real struggle is not just grief, but the fact that he has to suppress himself. He feels trapped by court politics, religion, family loyalty, expectations from him. And one more thing is that he uses so many allusions which shows that he's really like a scholar, okay? While he is showing so much of despair, we see Horatio, Marcellus and Bernardo, whom we have met in the previous scene, enter the stage. Hail to your lordship. I'm glad to see you well, Horatio, or I do forget myself. So he identifies Horatio. The same, my lord, and your poor servant ever. So they exchange niceties. Sir, my good friend, I'll change that name with you. So I am also like your servant. So it shows that they are actually good friends and nobody is that superior to the other. And what make you from Wittenberg, Horatio, Marcellus, my good lord? So they also are from Wittenberg, which shows that they are more like his college friends or university friends. And then as he goes on asking them why they have come to Denmark at all, they reply that they've come to see his father's funeral. I pray thee, do not mock me, fellow student. He's his classmate. So Hamlet says that you're mocking me. I've not come here to see my father's funeral. I think it was to see my mother's wedding. Bitter, sarcastic comment indeed. Indeed, my lord, it followed hard upon. Yes, like two things happened very quickly, one after the other. Thrived, Horatio. So Hamlet is so bitter, he's being really sarcastic here, and he says that basically it's to save cost. The funeral baked meats did coldly furnish forth the marriage tables. So arrangements were made to feed people in the funeral, and the same food was offered in the wedding, and this cut the cost. That's why the wedding was done so quickly after the funeral. Would I had met my dearest foe in heaven, or ever I had seen that day, Horatio, my father, methinks I see my father. Right when he is about to break down in front of his friend, Horatio asks a very specific question. See your father? Because Horatio has actually seen Hamlet's father. So he's thinking that, has Hamlet also seen the ghost anywhere else? Where, my lord? In my mind's eye, Horatio. Now, Hamlet is talking about seeing his father in his imagination. So he is obviously not talking about any ghost here. I saw him once. He was a goodly king. Now, this seeing is when King Hamlet was alive. He was a man. See, it's a recurrent idea. Being a man, being brave. Take him for all in all. I shall not look upon his like again. I can never find somebody like him. He was so great. My lord, I think I saw him yesternight. Saw? Who? My lord, the king, your father. The king, my father? Season your admiration for a while. Season means hold, stop, wait. Don't show your wonder so soon. Listen us out with an attent ear. So be attentive, listen to us. Till I may deliver upon the witness of these gentlemen this marvel to you, this wonderful thing that has happened, this marvelous thing that has happened. I'm going to tell you, and I also have witnesses. So now you understand why it is necessary, or it was necessary, for the dramatist to make the ghost appear not just before or in front of one person, but more than one person. so that the ghost's objective presence can be validated. And this is what Horatio is trying to do. For God's love, let me hear. And now Horatio gives the whole account. 2 nights together had these gentlemen, Marcellus and Bernardo, on their watch in the dead vast and middle of the night, been thus encountered. So when they had been, in their guard duty, they had come across this figure, a figure like your father, armed at point exactly, cap a pay, so from head to toe, appears before them, and with solemn march goes slow and stately by them. So he walks across in a very royal fashion, like marching officially. Thrice he walked by their oppressed and fear-surprised eyes within his truncheon's length. So truncheon is like a baton, a staff kind of a thing. So very close. The ghost was very close to Marcellus and Bernardo. Whilst they, distilled almost to jelly with the act of fear, stand dumb and speak not to him. This to me in dreadful secrecy impart they did. Now this is a sentence which, if you just rearrange the words, it will make more sense to you. That they imparted to me in dreadful secrecy this incident. And I with them the 3rd night kept the watch, where as they had delivered both in time form of the thing, each word made true and good, that apparition comes. So this was the 3rd time that the ghost has appeared. I knew your father. These hands are not more like. So I can tell you that that figure looked like your father. But where was this? My lord, upon the platform where we watched. Did you not speak to it? My lord, I did, but answer made it none. Yet once methought it lifted up its head and did address itself to motion, like as it would speak. So I think the ghost was about to speak, but even then the morning cock crew loud, and at the sound it shrunk in haste away and vanished from our sight. So the cock crew and it vanished. It was about to speak. It is very strange. As I do live, my honoured lord, it is true, and we did think it writ down in our duty to let you know of it. Indeed, sirs. But this troubles me. Hold you the watch tonight? We do, my lord. Armed, say you. So the thing is that Hamlet is going on asking a lot of questions. You notice? Why is he asking them so many specific questions? He's now asking them, was that figure carrying any weapons? Armed? Armed, my lord. From top to toe. My lord, from head to foot. Then saw you not his face? Armed means he was also wearing his armor, so maybe his helmet was there. Then saw you not his face? Oh yes, my lord, he wore his beaver up, so the helmet cover was up, so they could see his face. What? Looked he frowningly? Now see, Hamlet is first trying to establish whether it was really his father's ghost or not. When he got the confirmation that yes, he looked because they could see his face, now he is asking about the expression on the ghost's face. A countenance more in sorrow than in anger. Yes, he was frowning, pale or red, nay, very pale, and fixed his eyes upon you most constantly. I would I had been there. Now, this questioning shows anxiety on one hand, on the other hand is longing. Each question, armor, face, frown, the eyes, it's like he's trying to rebuild his father's character. Psychologically, it's unresolved grief. He's trying to process his grief like this. And the rapid questions also suggest a need for certainty. It shows that he's a logical person. He wants careful verification of the details. And this is not just about the ghost. Later also we'll see that he always goes on checking and rechecking things to make sure that he's not wrong. And what happens when you do that? You use up time. In other words, people say you're wasting your time. Another thing is that he's asking so many questions because he has already felt that appearances are fake. He's seen his mother. And somehow the appearance of ghost, which is like his father, could also be a fake thing. So he is afraid of deception. And that's why this double checking is always there at the back of his mind. It would have much amazed you. Very like. Stayed it long? While one with moderate haste might tell 100. So, well, you could count to 100 in a moderate speed. You stayed for that long. Longer. So Marcellus and Bernardo are adding to the detail. Not when I saw it. Hamlet is going on asking questions about the ghost. His beard was grizzled, no? It was, as I have seen it in his life, a sable silvered. I will watch tonight. Perchance it will walk again. I warrant it will. So the thing is that he feels bad that he has not been a part of this sighting yet, as if he's excluded somehow. And he is not just trying to read the ghost physically, but also psychologically. What the ghost was feeling is also his concern. If it assume my noble father's person, I'll speak to it, though hell itself should gape and bid me hold my peace. So no matter what, I'm going to speak to it. I pray you all, if you have hitherto concealed this sight, if you have till now concealed this whole thing, not told anybody anything, let it be tenable in your silence still. He doesn't want them to tell anybody else about this incident. And whatsoever else shall hap tonight, give it an understanding, but no tongue. Whatever happens today, observe it, be there, but don't tell anyone. Because we all know that Hamlet cannot trust the people around him, especially if they are connected to the king. I will requite your loves, I will give you compensation, so fare you well upon the platform. Between 11 and 12, I'll visit you. Our duty to your honor. Your loves as mine to you, farewell. And after they leave, we have 4 short lines. And in his characteristic way, Shakespeare uses concluding couplet. That is, 2 rhyming lines to end this very short speech. This is also a soliloquy, but it's a very short one. My father's spirit in arms, all is not well. I doubt some foul play, would the night were come. He can't wait. He's impatient at the moment. Till then, sit still, my soul. Foul deeds will rise. Before even meeting the ghost, Hamlet is giving a statement that foul deeds will rise. How does he know? Though all the earth overwhelm them to men's eyes. So he thinks that the ghost has come or is planning to meet him to tell him about some foul play. So the fact is that even before Hamlet meets the ghost, he is already disgusted with his mother's remarriage. He's already saying that there's some foul play. And he's also saying that the foul play will rise, open up to people. It will not stay hidden. And with this mindset, he's going to meet a spirit who he thinks is the ghost of his father. We don't have any other way to confirm if that ghost is really his father's ghost or not. But we can at least have this as a fact, that even before meeting the ghost, Hamlet was feeling haunted by doubts and apprehensions. This scene leaves us all with a lot of curiosity. What will happen when Hamlet eventually meets his father's ghost? But Shakespeare knows how to make us swing from stage to stage, from household to household, from characters to characters. So in the next video, we are going to get introduced to a very new household, that of Polonius. Till then, stay subscribed. Do let us know if you are enjoying this series. This is Monami Mukherjee signing off. Bye-bye.